All right. Welcome to the Lovecraft Easing podcast. Our guests today are Ellen Datlow, Richard Cadry. Am I saying your name right, Richard?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Glenn Hirschberg, Jeffrey Ford. Hey, guys.
And did you introduce Nadja?
Oh,
Sorry.
Nadja. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you do one cup of coffee. Sorry, Nadja. Yeah. Well, we talk about Lovecraftian horror, sure, but we talk about weird fiction, ghosts, Christmas horror,
All kinds of stuff.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Who?
Who? Yeah. So anyway, I'm Mike Davis. Let's do introductions real quick, and then we can talk to these guys. What we're doing today is we're talking about Ellen's new book. If it'll show it. Yep. There we go.
Yes, yes.
Christmas and Other Horrors.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. That Ellen edited. So, Jeff, you want to start? Introduce yourself real quick.
Oh, Jeff Ford. I write novels and stories, and I'm in this collection that Ellen has out, this Christmas and Other Horrors collection. That's about all I could. That's what I could say right now. Thank you.
That works. Nadja.
Hi, I am Nadia. I also write horror stories, and I'm also in this collection. I live in Washington, D.C.
All right. Richard Cadry.
Hi, I also, like the others, I write a lot of horror books and stories and some scripts. And I too have a story in Ellen's collection.
I'm sensing a theme.
What a
Yes.
surprise.
Glenn.
Hi, I'm Glenn Hirschberg. I write horror and lots of other things. I am coming to you from the sopping wet Pacific Northwest and proud to be amongst all these seriously unwell people in Ellen's new collection.
Well, speaking of Ellen, you want to introduce yourself, Ellen?
Oh, okay. I'm an editor of short fiction. I edit science fiction, fantasy, and horror, although I've been concentrating more on horror the last several years. I edit the best horror of the year, and most recently, the Christmas and Other Horrors just came out in October from Titan Books, and it's exactly what it says. Christmas stories and all solstice. Actually, I was trying to aim for more international stories. Didn't quite hit the mark as much as I would have liked, but there still are a variety of types of stories, of types of solstice celebrations and monstrous things happening, even if they're not around the world necessarily.
All right. And when did it come out? October?
It came up to October 24th or October 26th.
Right.
And I know it's in a second printing, but of course I have no idea what the first printing was. So whether that's, I mean, I know I'm glad it's in a second printing. And right now it should be ramping up for Christmas shopping and your little large Christmas stockings.
Yeah. So this is great. This is great timing to talk about this. And the audiobook for you audiobook listeners will be out in March, I believe.
They're trying to figure that out. That doesn't make sense because they asked me about it months ago. My publisher is trying to find out if it's really that far in advance, far ahead.
Right.
Because there's no reason why it should be. But keep looking if you want the audiobook. It'll be out. All
right. And then my co-panelists are here. Rick, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Rick Lay, writer and Pope magazine collector.
Pete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pete Bullock, writer, editor, man about town, and occasional taxi driver.
Yeah, I was going to say chauffeur as well, right?
Yes. But only to casinos.
Yes. He has been kind enough to go to the casinos with me in Florida when I visit my mom sometimes.
Oh, and this last time, Mandy, my wife, Mandy, she brought home bank.
She cleaned up. I lost everything. She cleaned up, but that was good.
Matt Carpenter.
Hi, I'm Matt Carpenter. I run Movie Night. Last night we watched Lord of Misrule, which we might get around to discussing. For prize this week is a hardcover biography of Lovecraft called H.P. Lovecraft Nightmare Country by Joe Shee. It came out in 2012. It's got some nice photographs in it. This copy's a little bit dinged, but if you want a chance to win it, send an email to easyandprizes@gmail.com and put countries in the subject heading. We draw a winner in about 8 weeks, 8 weeks. So you got plenty of time to get an entry in.
Last but not least, Mike DeBronzo. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Mike DeBronzo, architect and artist, here for your pleasure.
And before we start, Nadia, Bridget can't make it today, but she wanted me to tell you how much she enjoyed your story.
Oh, thank you, Bridget.
So, all
And
right.
not, wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh, did I miss somebody again?
I don't know. I mean, I'm lost. Nadia, you introduced yourself, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It's like too many
I
people
went
here.
second, yeah.
Well, Ellen, why don't we start with the genesis of the book and
Well,
why you
sure.
wanted to do it and so forth.
Yeah, sometimes, well, I was trying to figure out something else to do with Titan after When Things Get Dark came out, my Shirley Jackson inspired anthology.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what should we do? And I don't even know how it came up. But I know that, I mean, I came up with the title. I mean, sometimes I'll come up with the title like that, or other times it's agonizing. And the title was to me so perfect because it's not just straight on horror, Christmas horrors, but the not so subtle to me suggestion that for some people Christmas is a horror show.
Right.
And they meet with if they don't like their families. And I thought that the publisher would just freak out. I mean, I thought, oh, people are going to be really offended by this, and they thought it was great. So, to me, that was the interesting thing. But again, as I was hoping to do, I wanted it to be an international anthology where I tried to get some people from other countries, from different countries and different cultures, and met several I approached, didn't have the time, or just said no. And so in a way, maybe I'll do another anthology that I can force people to be more international, but I did want them to not use Santa Claus, or if anyone would use Santa Claus, not much. And that, I think, the encouragement worked. I mean, we got an awful lot of different interesting takes. And the people who I did ask, who are American or British or Australian, they did write about other cultures than their own necessarily. Like Amakatsu wrote about I have no idea how to pronounce it. The white horse, the mare in Celtic.
Oh, Maury Lloyd.
Thank you. Yes. And great, what's his name? I'm sorry, Josh Mallerman wrote about I think a Finnish a sauna, and about some gremlins in saunas. So I mean, they picked interesting takes that were not necessarily their own takes. And actually, I really like Glenn. Glenn is the only one who actually was working with Hanukkah, and
Right.
That his story is really interesting, the way his approach. So how did I come up with the idea? I don't know. I was just I don't remember actually how I came up with the actual idea of, hey, let me do a Christmas anthology. It was the idea. So what do I want to do next, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes Americans look at that and think that's an odd time of the year to be telling horror stories, but actually it's not.
No, ghost stories
Traditionally,
are tradition.
Yeah, traditionally you tell a lot of horror stories at that time of year.
Mhm.
England, a lot of ghost stories, and you allude to this, you talk about this in the introductions. Even though many celebrate the winter solstice as a time of joy, there is a darker tradition of ghost stories and horror stories taking place around the time of the winter solstice. So the dark tradition, by presenting the unholy, the horrific aspects of a time when families and friends come together for better or worse. So you mentioned that you wanted, you didn't get as many international stories as you would have wanted. As far as what you did get, what did you tell everybody besides go easy on Santa Claus, what else did you tell them that you were looking for?
I think it was basically telling them what I wasn't looking for, like not Santa Claus. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys would have to say, but I was actually, what I did is I actually Googled solstice and found a whole bunch of, long list of countries that have solstice aspects. They either celebrate or they acknowledge it, or they have creatures that come out around then. And I just sent all those notes to the writers in my guidelines. So basically, yes, I was just encouraging them to, I hate to say it, but go outside the box of the happy Christmas story.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that what I told you guys? And basically I just said, don't do this, but but otherwise they could do whatever they wanted. I was just discouraging them from using Santa Claus or the happy Santa Claus.
The happy Santa Claus. Yeah, Santa Claus. Well, Nadia, you embraced the Festivus tradition. I was really happy to see that. So, with them, minimum or no spoilers if you can, why don't you talk about your story and the genesis of your
It's
story?
also
Yeah.
about family and friends
Yeah.
being
Mhm.
horrific.
Yeah.
So I tried to do the international thing with my my home culture. Which is Indonesia, and I just could not make it work. So I was like, okay, what is next best? And so I thought my culture as a millennial living in DC is something that's more akin to Festivus, which is just like a non-denominational, non-religious end of year celebration. And so I tried to kind of populate it with the sort of people that I have met in DC who I think there's like a strong desire to kind of mimic traditions of old while still being like kind of too cool for them. And the implication is that this isn't actually your real holiday. It's like just the posturing holiday with your friends. And sort of I also wanted to do, because I love the traditional Christmas ghost story. So it is also that. Yeah, so it was really nice to kind of get to tie those things together.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I really enjoyed your story as well, and a couple of reasons. The the reveal actually took me by surprise, and
Oh, good.
maybe it shouldn't have. I don't know, because I've read a lot of
Great.
horror, but it did. And I just thought it was a wonderful little story, and I like how you just alluded to Festivus as just another holiday. You didn't. The word Seinfeld, the name Seinfeld's not in the entire story. So
Never seen it.
you never seen that episode?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
I've
Yeah.
never watched Seinfeld either.
Well, let's just say George has a really strange father, and leave it at that. But
Okay.
so every time of the year, I'm in my 50s, so my wife and I will joke about it a little bit. But that's about the extent of it. So there were actually a lot of Festivus parties when you were younger in DC?
No. I mean, I sort of use Festivus as kind of like a catch-all of like that sort of fake Christmas party that isn't a Christmas party, but is still like trying to evoke those kinds of feelings of community and belonging. And sort of I wanted to kind of twist that a little bit because I've always felt sort of like very alone at these parties.
Yeah.
And I think that most of my characters also feel very alone at the party, even though they don't want to make that obvious. They don't want to admit that.
Well, in your notes at the end, and you said it another way just now, but you said let's see, caught between wanting the folks that went to them were caught between wanting to mock tradition and wanting to recreate it. I really felt that one because it's like, I'm not religious, but if I go to say a
Right.
Christmas church, thing once a year with a relative or whatnot, I don't want to go to church, but that sense of community is nice,
Yeah, absolutely. And I for one always feel sort of like drawn to these sort of traditions that I was never really a part of because I was not raised Christian either. But it always seemed nice, you know. So and yeah, I think something that I was thinking about recently also, and it tied to this book, was like that Christmas has this sort of evocative nostalgia for something that may or may not have ever existed for you in your life, which I think is very sad and moving, but I think also probably explains all the ghost stories to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. What about you, Jeff? Talk about your story a little bit.
Mine?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, did you say me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Or you can talk about somebody else's story if you want.
I'm sorry, no. I started out trying to write a story about the Belsnickel, which is kind of a cut rate Krampus, you know, that's in tradition, a European German tradition. And I got pretty far with it. I just couldn't finish it, man. But I did find out something interesting about this character. It's a male character, kind of a, you know, part, it has hoofs and stuff like the Krampus, and it's, you know, got that kind of connection to the wild, antlers and stuff. But the Belsnickel wore a dress on a lot of occasions, like dressed up as a woman, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I couldn't make anything about it at the time, so I wrote about this tradition. Very small religious sect has a tradition where in the 3 days of Christmas, Christmas Eve, and the day after. No, I'm sorry, Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after. If a stranger comes to your door and needs help, you got to help them because it could be an angel. And if you help them, you will gain, you will get a reward for that. But whatever kind of like negativity you show towards somebody like this is visited back upon you. All right. So this stranger comes, there's this guy they see in town, this couple they see in town who's kind of like a bum, you know, hobo, drinking all the time and everything, comes to their door. He's freezing cold. So the husband's grandmother was part of this religion and he remembered this. So he lets the guy in, and you never really know if the guy's an angel or not. He does do some really fucking weird stuff. I mean, there's strange stuff that goes on around him, all right? So you don't really know what he is, whether he's testing them or he's just like, he could even be the devil. You never know, right? And they're trying to put up with him, and he's running around their house at night naked and like, you know, spewing this stuff. He tells him that he absorbs his own death and then blows and then exhales it. So that's how he could stay as young as looking as he is and stuff like that, you know? So, I mean, the beginning part of the story is, you know, giving information about this tradition and building up to it and make it seem like a folk tale. Although in reality, I don't know if I say this in the back or not. Sometimes I try to get away with it. Sometimes I reveal it, but the whole thing's just made up. But it's made to seem like a folk tradition, you know? But I just created the whole thing. And so that's the visitation. That's what that's about.
Well, you in your notes, I wasn't sure in your notes, the book that you found in Ohio, if this was a tradition that you found in there, or
Oh,
if you
I
had
made
made it
that
up.
book up too.
Oh, you made the book up
Okay,
too.
oh,
Okay.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Oh, cool. I should have looked it up, the book.
Did you? You looked it up?
I didn't.
I
but
did. I actually
I
looked
got
up.
into this with another story I did for Ellen called Word Doll, where I just like made up this, you know, living out in the country, I get these vibes of all, and I hear all these stories from my neighbors who are farmers and stuff. And you just like, I just start making them up. I just make them up sometimes. Yeah, that one I made up completely.
Well, Ellen, I actually did look up that book, Christmas Past by Carol Toppert, and I looked up the book that you talk about right at the beginning of the story, Strangers by Esther Grant, from, and you even named the press, from Golden Peacock Press, 1945.
Yeah.
So those were all made up?
You know, the devil's in the details, right? You get those details.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're both
You make the
they're
BS
both not
enough, nobody's going to keep following it, you know? That's like Pynchon does. he makes it seem like he's this genius, but you know, he has some sprinkling of details on the top, and then as you go down, you know, it dissipates into just total BS, you know what I mean? But it seems like it's backing it up in a way.
Well, it did not ring a bell, so I wasn't sure if it was made up or not, but it did make me think of Lot, you know, when he's living in Sodom and these two guys come to visit him and his family, but they're actually angels.
Right, right.
Yeah. He
Yeah, I
recognizes
mean,
them
there
as
is that
angels.
tradition in the Bible where, you
Yeah.
know, Lot, there's a couple of other occasions too where angels visit. And you know, yeah, that's basically what I was playing with there. I told Ellen I wasn't going to be able to do the story because I couldn't finish the first one. I'm not going to tell you what she told me, but it got me moving.
Get your ass in the chair, something like that.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, something
Well,
like that.
there's actually a verse in the New Testament as well where it talks about helping strangers because many have entertained angels unawares, I think is how it goes in the King James Version.
You know why I got this idea from? My cat. This cat that we had for like, I don't know, 20 something years
That's where I get all
was
my
dying,
ideas. My
was
cats.
dying, right? And
Oh, I'm sorry.
that cat came to our house in our garage on Christmas Eve.
Mm.
Wow.
And you know, it was injured. And so my kid wanted to take it in. And I was like, we had pets and stuff like that, but I was like, you know what? It's Christmas. It's a bad idea to turn down people in need at Christmas time. You know what I mean? That's a sign. You got to take that. We had it. We kept it. We had it. Just passed away this year. But that's where the idea originated from that. Because he was going through that process of dying at the time. And
I'm sorry to
And
hear
how
that.
many years did he last?
What?
How many years did he last after that?
No, well, we had him. I mean, we had him for like 20 something years. He lived a long time. He was one of those orange cats, you know, Fatty. Yeah,
Yeah.
a cat Fatty. Yeah.
Yeah.
They live a long time, those orange cats, you know.
Garfield type cat?
What's that?
A Garfield type cat?
You better not mention Garfield to me. My father-in-law is the guy who did Heathcliff.
Really? I did not know
Garfield,
that.
no Garfield. Heathcliff, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk to Richard Kadri. Tell us about tell the audience about your story.
I wanted to write about sort of internal and external horrors in mine. Going with Ellen's ideas, I'd already started looking at alternate Santas around the world, like other things and creatures that are around the solstice and Christmas. And I found this vicious mob of creatures, not Krampus, but creatures who would kill children if they didn't get clothes for Christmas, just awful, judgmental things. And I thought that was great. I wanted to incorporate that idea into my story. But on the internal side, I really wanted to write about family at Christmas and how that can twist everything, that pressurized situation can really bring out not just the worst, but the strangest part of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did that with that story.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else have any questions? I'm hogging all the questions. No? All right. Glenn, I don't know how your story ends yet. I'm about halfway through it. So, gonna talk about yours?
The ending. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think I won't say the ending.
Okay.
Although the usual joke with people who read my stories sometimes is I read the ending and I'm still not quite sure how it ends. I hope that's not your experience this time. But I think it's odd. All of my associations with Hanukkah are actually very pleasant, but they are in a very haunted and specific, and I think probably very familiar for a lot of American Jews kind of way, where it's always celebrate. You know, my memories are dark house at night, candles being lit, songs being sung, this little
Potato
light.
pancakes, potato
Right.
latte.
I mean, of course, but that came later when we turned the lights on, because the actual ceremony, we're lighting these candles, and even in our own windows, often you could barely see the reflection of like our candles in the riot of Christmas lights everywhere. And so there was always kind of a secretive element to it, that I both loved, and it also, ticked the horror writing switch, whatever that is that I've always had, where I was always thinking about that. And then I was going to say, although Jeff, you completely wrecked. I had this thing. I was feeling all smart and interesting about all three of your stories, which I really liked. But all of them were about these missing spots in the record. I mean, Nadia has this really nice riff in her story about the friend who ghosts, which is such a weirdly common experience, and you millennials and my kids, the Gen, you're really perfecting the art, the ghosting thing. And so I just thought, yeah, that in itself has its horror, and Richard, the whole blank spot that triggers your story, really ominous. But Jeff, you wrecked it because you made it up, and bravo. I love that. But anyway, I was working on that, and somehow my very positive memories of Hanukkah, the tricky, Ellen was talking about the trickiness of family, obviously, around holiday times. The Pacific Northwest, which is just full of weird places like the sculpture garden that I based the garden in my story on.
Does that exist? That exists?
Kind
of.
A thing sort of like that exists. I would not say that exists. But there are things kind of like it that exist. And then something about being in the sort of sandwich generation years. And I know, Ellen, you will appreciate this, I think, and caring both for one's older kids and one's older parents. It gets increasingly tricky, and holiday times maybe especially so. And so all that sort of funneled together and created that story. I wasn't planning on writing a Hanukkah story originally, but that's what came out.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm curious, from the four of you and our editor, Ellen, if Ellen's obviously read them all, but have you guys had time, it sounds like Glenn has, to read some of the other stories in the book yet?
I just got my copy, so I haven't read anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Same. Okay. What somebody mentioned, forget who it was, that they like the idea that Halloween starts in October and doesn't end until January. And I like that idea. In the book, The Woman in Black, the movie with Daniel Radcliffe is great. I really enjoyed it, but the book is even better. And for those who have read it, if you remember, he's with his family, his wife and kids, most of them grown up or nearly grown up, and they all want to talk about ghost stories, which is a tradition, and over there. And the whole time he's getting really uncomfortable because he wants to tell them it's not like this. It's not the rattling of chains and all this spine chilling stuff that you're talking about. It's something much worse. And then that's chapter 1, and then he tells the story of what happened to him. So yeah. What do you guys enjoy Christmas each year? Do you dread it? Mixture of both? Who wants to
I actually loved it.
that?
We celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas, kind of. I mean, the thing is, Hanukkah it wasn't as much fun because we got 8 gifts, except they were really not they were pretty trivial little gifts, and then you'd get one big gift. But my family, we also celebrated Christmas a little bit. We actually gave gifts. We never had a tree or anything like that, but we had Christmas stockings, and our parents put little weird candles and things in them. And And my father had, remember projectors and
Mhm.
the lights, the big lights? My father had these huge lights that were hot as hell. Then he would take make moving pictures of us opening our gifts every Christmas.
Mm,
And so I have photographs of that and pictures of that. And so it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed that. It was not neither holiday. I mean, Hanukkah was, superficially religious. I mean, the thing with the Maccabees, we had that whole story. For us, Christmas was definitely not, we were Jewish. We would not, it was not celebrated that way. But I enjoyed the season. I mean, it was fun.
mhm.
My kid Derek, he always says it's a chance to get your Fezziwig on. You know what I mean? Be in a good spirit and be
Yeah.
nice to people and, do good things and so forth. And if it only comes around once a year, there's
It's
at
too
least that
bad.
opportunity to get your Fezziwig on,
So wait a second, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Scrooge movie?
I'm going to tell you guys are going to diss me for this. I'm telling you, but I love the animated one with Jim Carrey. I think that's an awesome flick.
I love the Mr. Magoo one.
Oh, Mr. Magoo. Well, yeah, that's raspberry dressing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, well, you guys are really gonna diss me, Matt,
That's a
because
great
I
one.
love the one with Bill Murray. So
Oh,
That's all
what's
right.
that
My
one?
favorite straight up one is the one with Alistair Sims. No,
That's
not
a-
Alistair Sims,
that's
Reginald
that's the
Owen.
one.
Yeah,
Reginald Owen, the 1935 one is the one I
that's a
like.
good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That story is so great. You know what I mean? You can't top that story. Every year it just seems fresh, when you encounter it again. It's just such a perfect piece of writing, I think,
yeah.
that Christmas Carol.
Well, I see Christmas as an opportunity to really get on my son's nerves by playing Christmas Vacation over and over on the TV in the
God,
living
yeah.
room.
A friend's kid, we were hanging out with a friend's family and they had a little daughter. And she played The Grinch Stole Christmas, the movie, over and over and over again.
Oh,
And the
wow.
grandmother was over helping the parents. And the grandmother was just the most unpleasant, controlling woman I've ever met. And she kept trying to get the little girl to stop playing the Grinch. And when it stopped, when it ended at one point, Grandma walked in and just said, "That's it, no more Grinch." And this is back when this is back in the days of VCRs, so the tape had popped out. And once Grandma walked back into the kitchen, the kid was looking really sad. So I didn't turn the Grinch on, but I picked the little girl up, walked her to the VCR, and let her punch the tape back in and hit play. So it was not my fault.
What
was
happened
awesome.
next? What happened? What did the grandmother do after that?
She couldn't do anything. She couldn't do anything. It had already started, and she knew at least at that point not to stop it because it would have just crushed the little girl. And as controlling as Grandma was, I don't think the parents would have put up with it.
She was the Grinch.
She was the
Yeah, I was
Grinch.
just thinking that too. Yeah, that's why she didn't like the movie, Richard.
Exactly. Autobiographical, yeah.
Am I the only nerd who likes watching Christmas Vacation here?
I don't
Yeah.
like that movie
I
because of
hate
that
Chevy
guys.
Chase, man.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
Nadia?
it's the Chevy Chase thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
cat gets electrocuted, and I don't like that.
Oh,
so
that's
Yeah.
right.
I don't watch it.
That's
I
right.
literally, my roommate will put it on, and I go to my room.
I don't watch any of them. I have no interest in them. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've been
Uh,
watching a lot of Christmas horror movies for a project, and there are some really fun ones out there. I
Oh
think
gosh, there's a movie, a Lovecraftian Christmas movie where Santa is a great old one.
God, every
what is
episode-
that?
Yeah.
It's from Finland. It's called Rare Exports.
Oh, Rare
Yeah,
Exports
Yeah, I know that
is
one.
the greatest Christmas horror movie ever. There's a lot of good ones, but Rare Exports is just brilliant.
If you guys
I've
keep
never
this up,
seen
you're
it.
gonna. If you guys, they've been mentioning this like every episode, Nadia.
Really, Rare Exports? Is it
Oh.
available?
It is the
Okay,
greatest.
Scrooge.
It is
I'm
the
gonna no.
greatest-
I was about to say, you're You're talking me into watching it. Everyone says it's great, so I'm gonna
It's
watch it.
great.
Sounds
is the-
interesting. I don't know how I'll find it, but maybe I'll
I
find
can,
it.
I can get you a copy, Ellen. I can
Yeah.
get you a
Okay.
copy.
Okay.
It is
Thank
the greatest Lovecraftian horror Christmas story you never knew you needed.
Okay.
Yes,
It's on Netflix.
Great.
That's pretty
Actually,
good.
it
Yeah, but
is.
I don't have Netflix right now.
I'll get you a copy, Ellen.
I'm
Don't
in
worry about it.
between of Netflix DVDs and figuring out what to do about streaming.
No,
Don't
but
worry about it, Ellen. I got you covered.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, you mentioned this idea that Christmas starts on Halloween and runs through
Right.
Christmas. It's I was just thinking about that. It's like there's a lot of parallels between Halloween and Christmas, right?
They should
well,
make a
Nightmare
movie.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, they should make a movie. Call it The Nightmare
Yeah,
Before
but no,
Christmas.
but so like there's you dress up, you get presents, you go from house to house,
You better obey the rules,
you better obey the rules.
Yes.
Oh,
or
good
something
point.
bad's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, and there's lots of food involved. And then there's there's mystical beings out and about all the same time. It's in my mind, it's always been that Halloween is sort of the start and Christmas is the end of this sort of, soft season where mysticism is ready to
Mhm.
enter
I
the world.
totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
The veil is thin.
Yep.
Well, you start at religiously speaking, you start with November with the All Saints Day where the ghosts come back.
Right.
And you end with Christmas, Christ being born, and he's the savior of the spirits that are like, he's the savior of those people who have gone on,
Well, also you have you at the end of the year, you have the great pagan traditions. You don't have to have the Thomas. I hate the Thomas Nast American Santa Claus. The Thomas Nast and Coca-Cola gave us the big red round roly-poly man. You go back and you look at Saint Nicholas and you look at Odin, and you can see how Santa originally formed from a conflation of those two characters. And that Christian pagan combination just delights me, and I think it really comes out at the end of the year.
I always say 8 tiny reindeer is Sleipnir,
Yes,
right? It's
yes,
you get Sleipnir has 8 legs,
and Saint Nicholas didn't have elves. Odin had elves.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Saint Nicholas
Those
didn't
of you don't know,
fly.
that's the name of Odin's horse.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Richard, what is Dinosaur's least favorite reindeer?
Oh, I got this.
Oh,
I already told you the joke.
No, you didn't.
oh,
Matt.
I don't. Oh, I didn't know it was a joke because
Facebook
I have my
Messenger.
own.
Okay,
What's
go,
it?
go, Pete, go.
It's Comet.
Right.
Oh, that's great. I have my own evil reindeer that I made just for the
Nice.
holidays.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, hang on, let me put you on the screen here.
The teeth make it.
Yeah,
A
so
rare
that's
Plastic? What's
that's
the
my
name?
little Baphomet.
Is it plastic?
No, it's a little ceramic piece of crap from CVS. I couldn't find any hats or anything, so I just made my own reindeer.
Okay.
Richard, you've got some kind of seriously creepy eye thing going on, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I'll take that as a compliment.
I thought you
I
said
think
a
it's
ceramic
in and out
piece of.
past his background.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought you said ceramic piece of crap for a second there.
Yeah, it is a ceramic piece of crap. I mean, it's just CVS junk that I love modifying cheap toys, and that one was perfect.
So there's a story in here, and I want to hear from Matt on this too. The Lord of Misrule by M. Rickard, Ellen. I haven't read that one yet. What's that about?
Oh, God, it's really creepy. It's about a monstrous child.
Okay.
It's about a woman who goes to her family's Christmas, and the doors open, and there's this child who's running around like crazy. I think it's the only child there. I can't remember. And people seem to just let him run around crazily. I don't know how old he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he claims that everyone has to listen to him, and he seems to have weird abilities. And I don't want to say too much about it, but she does something, and he kind of won't leave her alone. Let's put it that way.
Well,
When
I
Mary
I mean,
gets
it's
creepy,
really
it's hard
creepy.
to
I mean, it's
top her.
fucking creepy. Huh?
Yeah.
What? Sorry. Did you read that
Mary
one?
gets creepy, it's hard to top her.
Yeah, and she did another one. I mean, she did. I mean, Lucky Girl was a Krampus story, the novella that we published by her a couple of years ago.
right, right.
She's really, and she does. At one point, she said, "I'm not a horror writer." I said, "Are you out of your mind?" I mean, I think she said this on Facebook or something. I said, "What are you talking about? You know, you hear all these horror stories you've written. Like, what do you mean you're not a horror writer?" But yeah, Lord of Misrule is pretty disturbing.
Well,
I think.
there's a new movie out called The Lord of Misrule
Oh,
that
really?
looks
What's
like
that
some
about?
sort of folk horror movie. I haven't seen it yet, but Matt,
We
you watched it
we
last
watched
night,
it
right?
last night. Okay. It has nothing to do with this discussion.
Okay.
It was possibly, we figured out by the end, it was possibly based on an old English folk poem or verse or song.
Yeah.
It had a great look, great music, but I gotta say, it was pretty clunky and the script was.
What was the basic plot? I mean, who was the Lord?
It's a woman is brought as a minister to a rural community. And they still have an annual fall harvest festival that's of pagan origin. And at this festival, her daughter gets kidnapped or disappears.
Okay.
And so it's like trying to figure out what's going on. And is it really something real behind this festival? So I don't think I was really, I gotta say, I would be lying if I didn't say I was let down.
Well, read
No.
the story and you won't be. Read Mary's story. It's completely different and it's disturbing.
I'm glad you watched it first because I wasn't sure. I thought it could be either really good or really bad.
It's not terrible. It's just, it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Lord of Misrule, I think it actually was Roman or something. I think it actually is based on some pagan beliefs. I mean,
They-
I think that's where Mary got it from. I don't remember, but
They have a Lord of Misrule in Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
I mean, did anyone, I can look at her afterward. I can't remember what you said about it.
Oh, yeah.
She says it came to her in a dream.
That's what she said?
Yeah,
But-
basically. She has more useful dreams than I do.
I guess.
So
Yeah.
according to Wikipedia, the Lord of Misrule is a officer appointed to preside over the Feast of Fools.
Feast of what?
Feast of Fools.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. So she
But it
came up
goes back to Roman times.
Right. I think I might have sent that to her possibly, and maybe that's where she got the idea from.
Well, I don't know if she's pulling a Jeff Ford on this afterward or not. I began looking for an idea in the usual way, paging through books of myths, sitting by a YouTube fire listening to Bach. It began to snow and the solar candles on my windowsill flickered on. I'm sure I dozed in the cozy atmosphere. What happened next? Only the dream of a mind searching for horror. When I awoke, a small boy wearing a paper crown stood by my chair. I thought he was a gift of sorts. I smiled. He smiled too, then extended his hand, and I felt his death in my reach burning. It burns still. Yep, not buying it.
That was a dream. No.
Yeah.
Have you met Mary? Seems possible. And I say
She
this.
seems lovely. I mean, she's very lovely. You wouldn't think that.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
writes-
she was on
Yeah.
the podcast a while back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is available in print and in Kindle, and it'll soon be available on Audible. But Ellen, is there any other? Not everyone. Obviously, a lot of the authors couldn't be here. Are there any other stories that you want to highlight or mention? Or
Oh, well, actually, I wanted to mention, Jeff, when you talked about your German thing, does that relate to Chris Golden's Snicker people? You didn't read his story yet?
No, I haven't.
His story, he has these people, it may be the same.
The Belsnickel?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, could be.
I
Well, I'm
forget
glad I
what they're
didn't do it then.
Yeah, well, I forget what, I mean, they will come and hurt you if it's like the something of a tidy home. If your home is not tidy, they will come and get you. And
Well,
they
the Belsnickel comes with a whip.
well,
and
these people have scissors for hands, like Edward Scissorhands.
Oh,
these
I don't know about
scissors.
that.
So yeah,
Scissor hands.
yeah, so that's pretty creepy. Yeah,
That
I mean,
sounds
they'll come
cool.
if
Yeah.
you don't. Yeah, Glenn, so many of us would be, like, yes, well, for me, it's the dust. And I mean, not necessarily everything, but yeah, so I mean, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Stephen Graham Jones is weird. I mean, it's just weird. It's one of he'll write straight on horror stories, very plot oriented and straightforward. And he's gotten more into the more weird kind of what's going on here thing. And this is that story, like what's kind of going on here thing. And it's happening on, I guess, solstice night. And a guy in a kind of a suburban subdivision thinks he sees something going on in a window. And also there was something, I think it's called something like After the Recent Unpleasantness or something. Apparently someone, either he or his wife, someone had an affair. And, it's like, that's the germ of the bad stuff coming out. So his story is very windy, and it's not like his usual stuff, I don't think. But anyway, it's an interesting one. Let's see who else. No, Alma Katsu's is the one where with the Mary Loud. Did I pronounce it terribly?
Mari Lloyd.
Mary Lloyd. I'm
So
sorry.
you were pretty close.
Close, but no cigar. Yeah. Yes, it comes for a visit to this couple in these people from it turns around completely. I mean, these people they're visiting a Welsh village or some village in the UK, and some people come to hurt them and to steal from them, and thieves. And they are the Murray. What is it again?
Mari Lloyd.
The Murray Lloyd. They seem to be the Mari Lloyd, and things kind of get twisted around. So I mean, yes, there's some really good, interesting, twisty stories. The one story, there's a story by Terry Dowling. It was the first story I got in. He's Australian, and initially it's like, this is a really good story. It's called In Morecambe Field or something, and some weird stuff happens. This guy sees a chair in the middle of a field, and of course, Australia's Christmas is summer there. But when I finished the story, I thought I really, really like the story, but can you make it more solstice-y? I mean, it's like, what does it have to do with the solstice? Stick it in, because I really like the story. And so he made it more so. Most of the stories come in and they're actually, yes, they're using the solstice. His did not really necessarily need the solstice mention, but I got him to mention it and put it in there, so it worked, because the story was really weird and good. So it's an interesting variety of stuff, basically. Tananarive Dew's story is a follow-up to a story that I took for the year's best last year. That was published, I think, in Other Terrors. Incident at Bear Creek Lodge or something. I'm getting the titles a little messed up, but this
Return to Bear Creek Lodge.
Yeah, yes, and it's a sequel to the story from the year before, and it's just about this boy who goes with his grandmother who's a really horrible, who's like a witch, who may be a witch, and it's very creepy, and it's very satisfying.
I saw Tananarive at Miami Book Fair at the end of November, and she mentioned that she's not done with that world yet.
Oh, good.
And that she might have enough stories for an entire book just on Bear Creek.
That would be great. I think that would work. Yeah. And by the way, unfortunately, the best horror of the year is gonna be late this year. It's not coming out to January 16th, which I'm really annoyed about. And it's on me, because every year my editor lets me get away with later and later. And it's like, I said, no, you have to give me a deadline. You have to give me a hard deadline. I do not want it to come out after the year again. This cannot happen again. You have to tell me that you need it, and everything has to be in a certain date, and I'll do it. So yeah, that's coming out early next year.
Well, and while we're mentioning other books, I just thought all of your books are great, but I really thought that When Things Get Dark, stories inspired by Shirley Jackson, was just absolutely exceptional.
Thank you. The stories that everyone wrote were really excellent. Were really good.
Yeah,
Ellen, that book in Japanese, it's translated as The Gentle Dead.
Oh, I know. They came to us. They asked permission. They wanted to call it after Cassandra Clare's story. And we said, well, that's going to be weird, because it would sound like it's that story, you know. So we
Yeah.
negotiated. I don't know why they didn't want to use. I can't remember. There was a whole discussion with the translate with the publisher, you know, back and forth with my agent, like why didn't want to call it When Things Get Dark. But I think inside they put the correct title. I don't care as long as it sells, you know, for whatever reason, maybe they didn't think that would be effective in, you know, in Japanese. I mean, who knows
Yeah.
why? But yes, they did change the title.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, we all love Laird's writing, but Tiptoe was just really, really great. Tiptoe's a story in When Things Get Dark,
Yeah, by
and
Laird.
by Laird
Yeah.
Barron. Yeah, and it's got that's on Audible as well, for those listening. And just like every good narrator of a story, it adds an extra dimension, especially that story. I've seen a
Yeah.
couple. I've seen more than one person writing online in forums like Reddit and so forth about how they got to the last couple of lines in the story and it just raised the hair on the back of their neck.
Oh yeah. The more you read, I mean, the more times you read it, the more
Yeah.
horrifying it becomes.
Yeah.
It's one. I think it's Laird's one of his scariest stories.
Yeah.
One of his best stories.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, When Things Get Dark. And then I wanted to say again, Nadia, that, you know, it's really hard. We're all a bit jaded on watching and reading horror, right? And sometimes it's not very easy for the writer of the movie or the story or the book to pull the wool over our eyes in certain cases. And I got to dance around this topic or dance around what I'm talking about in your story because I don't want to ruin it for those in the audience who haven't read the book yet. So hopefully we are encouraging you to buy the book and read it. But it's hard to do anymore what you did. So maybe others reading it weren't fooled, but I sure was, and I really
Well, I'm
enjoyed
so
the
glad to hear
reveal.
that. Yeah, I love I love twists and surprising people still. So that makes me very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, there's always the danger, of course, when we talk about a story like this at all, that if you tell someone there's a twist in a
If there's a
story,
twist, people
then
will
they're
be like,
looking for
"Oh,
the twist.
I'll be, yeah, totally."
Right. So then, therefore, they're going to be harder to fool, but
Looking for
you're
it,
still going to
yeah.
enjoy it, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I loved it. Um, as far as everyone here, um, Ellen talked about best horror of the year is coming out in January 16th, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What about the rest of you, the other writers here? What do you have coming out soon that we can look for? Or what has come out recently that we should be looking at? Whoever wants to. Nadia, you want to go, or Richard, or anyone?
I mean,
What
I'll
is it?
just mention that
Sure.
I'm publishing an anthology soonish. Spring 2024 is my first edited anthology about haunted house people who stay in haunted houses essentially and why they don't leave. It's called Why Didn't You
That
Leave?
sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
No
that.
way. Why didn't you tell me about this, Nadia?
Mike knows all about this.
It's a
And
great idea for an anthology.
and it's we just finalized the table of contents and it's going to be really good. I mean, talk about like there are some twist endings, there's some like unsettling stories, some just like utterly bizarre stories, but they all kind of like take that question really seriously because I think if you talk to anybody who's actually lived in a haunted house, they will say like it's not that easy to just pick up and leave. So we're really super proud of our writers and can't wait to share it with everyone who backed the Kickstarter. And when folks want to pick it up, obviously that would also be great. So
When does it come out, Nadia?
we are saying spring because we are trying to give ourselves a little bit of leeway, but we are
sure.
on time. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the
Yeah.
title?
Why didn't you just leave?
Congratulations. That's great.
That's
Thank
a great title.
Well, we did a podcast episode during the Kickstarter to promote it, and I talked about this there too. That funny commercial, Nadia, where the teens are fleeing like the
Oh,
serial
yes,
killer or
yes.
why
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
come
Why didn't
upon
we just go to the running car?
yeah, there's a nice car there that's running with the keys in the ignition. They're like, are you crazy? We need to go into this dark shed here with all the sharp tools and everything and hide there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wall's just covered in chainsaws.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But we've all seen those movies and stories in other in other formats where you're yelling at the screen like, just get in your car and drive away.
Not that easy.
Nope. So you will find out a lot of reasons why it's not that easy when the book comes out. So what about you guys, Jeff, Richard, Glenn? What's out
Well, I
recently?
was really lucky this year. I had 3 books out.
Oh, nice.
I had my first story collection called The Secrets of Insects from Subterranean Press, which is titled for a story Ellen bought from me for a Lovecraft anthology. And also have the beginning of a novella trilogy called The Pale House Devil, about 2 hitmen, one alive and one dead, who have to go fight a cosmic horror that is neither alive nor dead. So I have to figure that out.
What was that?
And then I have a
title
book with The Pale House Devil.
Okay.
And then I have a book with Cassandra Caw called The Dead Take the A Train.
Which I haven't gotten yet. I just texted you. Tell them to send it to me.
Really? You don't have it yet? That's insane.
No, unless I can't find it. Hold on a second.
You co-wrote it with her?
Talk about it.
Anyway, Cassandra Caw and I wrote this book about a magic operative in New York named Julie Cruz. And Julie's very powerful, very competent in fighting monsters, doing exorcisms, but she's really down on her luck because she's had trouble with ex-boyfriends, clients who don't pay her, things like that. So it's just a lot of bad luck. So she's broke. So she decides what she really needs in her life is to find her guardian angel. And she goes looking for it, and she finds her guardian angel, only it's not what she thought it was. And horrible things happen after that.
Mayhem, mayhem, mayhem.
Mayhem, mayhem, mayhem.
I don't think I got your collection either.
That's crazy.
Sorry. Well,
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna ask you if you had a
if it's
collection.
subterranean, it's because he doesn't send me stuff.
Well, I'll send you one of my copies. I have some.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, the same question for Glenn and Jeff, and then I think Pete has a question.
Oh, and I have one thing too coming out next year also, but first Jeff and Glenn.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay. So I had a new collection come out, book number 11, called Tell Me When I Disappear.
What?
Hold that up again.
Sorry?
Hold that up again. There you go. Thank you.
Yep. From Cemetery Dance. And I have also been doing a lot. I've been experimenting this year a lot with publishing new work on my Substack, and which is called Happy in Our Own Ways, the Substack. And I just published a new spooky story that I quite like called Ioway there. And I've been doing a lot of writing about my dad, who died a couple of years ago, and who was very much not the dad in my story, in the story in Ellen's book. He was a great dad and a really weird and interesting, terrifically talented guy. And so that's been fun. Some of my non-spooky stuff is up there too. So that's where my focus has been this year.
Okay, great.
And Glenn, you have to send me that story. For the best
I thought I did. I will. Absolutely. You got
I
it.
don't think you did. I don't know. I can't. At this point, I have piles of books, but I don't think I have that.
As soon as we're off, Ellen. My pleasure.
Mm.
And Jeff.
Yeah, I've had some stories this year. One, an American Cannibal, based on that song by Terry Jacks, Seasons in the Sun. It was kind of inspired by Mindhunter, that show that was on TV. It's about
Which
a
is
serial
really good.
killer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was that one. Pretty Good Neighbor, about like these 2 guys I knew in South Jersey who were heroin addicts that got in trouble with the mob. and almost got killed and thrown in in the marsh by the Meadowlands, where it's just this conflagration of chemical waste and stuff. And there are these creatures living there.
That's on tour.com.
I got a story in this horror thing, but what is it? McSweeney's 71, Monstrous and so forth. I have a story in there called 100 Nights of Nothing. And then I have one coming out in Asimov's pretty soon. And I have one in Ellen's Best of, Gate 9, which I wrote for Conjunctions. I think there's other ones. I can't remember all of them, but that's most of it,
Yeah.
I'm working on a collection now.
Good.
I'm writing 2 new stories for it now. That's why I'm off. I got off social media the other day, concentrate and get them done,
Yeah.
What's the title going to be of the book, of the collection?
I don't know, but I got a great cover that Derek did that I hope they'll let me use it. It's an awesome painting. Oh,
and who's publishing that one?
I'm not sure. Well, I know kind of, but I can't say absolutely for sure right this second. All right.
Yeah, I have another a reprint anthology coming out next year from Tachyon called Fears. It's psychological horror. It's all reprints. That'll be out probably in the fall.
Psychological horror. So no supernatural, or maybe
No.
there is, and maybe
Well,
there
I mean, in those guidelines, and initially in the guidelines I put that it could have supernatural aspects, but unfortunately people were sending me their stories that had too much supernatural.
Yeah.
So I had to change. I changed my guidelines saying no supernatural. Although sometimes there is a little bit, but that it's not. It's concentrating on psychological horror.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy it where a lot of stories, if they're done well, ambiguously, it could be supernatural, could be not, and you're not sure at the end of the story. So Pete, you had some questions?
Yeah, just for Ellen, because
Sure.
one of the things I do love about this book is the cover and the design, but there's not a single word about who did what in the book.
You mean on the
find
design, the cover?
Yeah, there's nothing in the copyright page or on the back.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm probably, first of all, it's probably done in-house, but yeah, they should have given someone credit.
Because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, here it is. It's on the back cover. Inside the back cover, designed by Julie Lloyd, images by Shuttleston.
Oh God, it's so small.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, she did the design. And
it's
I
more
actually
interesting the more you look at it, that thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
First of all, I made them put the splatter on it. I made them put the blood spatter. They didn't have blood spatter initially. But what's interesting is each element is used as a little illustration in front of each story.
Right.
Which is cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nicely done.
It's really nice.
Yeah, and they did a beautiful job last year on 2 years ago on When Things Get Dark, where they had the whole frontis, and what do you call it? What do you call this part?
The end papers.
The end papers were eyeglasses, design eyeglasses, of Shirley
nice.
Jackson glasses, which was very cool. So yeah, they have a good design department.
Yeah, except for this. This is a bad design. The cover for When Things Get Dark is on the inside flap. And it's almost completely illegible.
Oh, I don't even know why it's there. That's so strange.
Right?
See, you're much more careful than I'm afraid to look at the cover when my books are done and I find typos. So I don't even look at the covers usually.
Yeah, it's just I'm a big fan of cover art and why design is done the way it is. And this really
they don't want to take the viewer, they don't want to take the attention away from the current book. I don't know why they put it on there in the first place. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that in When Things Get Dark? Do you remember? Is there any
I don't remember. I have to pull my copy.
It may not be because I didn't do a book for them before. That's so weird.
But it would be nice to have like a QR code or something there that links you to your other work rather than just a barely legible.
That would be interesting.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
want to mention Karen Warren's story, which is weird.
Sure.
A grave of something birds, and it's just about this monstrous woman, who was who's a cook. I mean, she's in like one of these Top Chef programs and everyone hates her, but she's really beautiful. And so she goes to the small town to make this special meal for Christmas, for the solstice. And she fucks up basically. Yeah, I mean, the horror part is she's mostly the horror in it. And actually things that you think are going to happen don't happen. You think it's going to be like a Wicker Man. Oh, my cat, that looks like my Jack, Nadja, the bastard who's really horrible, who's next to me right now, and who picked
This
on
is
my.
Piper.
Yeah, Jack is right here. Right, Jack? Where's your tail? But anyway, yeah, things, basically she deserves what she gets, but it's not a Wicker Man, even though you think it's going to be a Wicker Man story.
Yeah. Anything
Sorry.
else? No, you're fine. Anything else,
Pete,
Pete?
do you have other questions?
No, I think we hit on everything because yeah, we dwelled in we I don't know. I had a really horrible nightmare last night, so I'm having a hard time thinking today.
Hold on, I'm going to show you my boy.
Oh,
My-
there you go.
My monster boy, who was very bad. He attacked the little cat today.
Oh
he
no.
fur- And fur was flying, poor baby.
Oh
And
no.
I had to smack him. He's
What-
bad. He's a bad
What's
boy.
his name?
Jack the jerk.
Jack the Jerk.
Well, Jack, parentheses the jerk. But yes, he's Jack the jerk.
My co-pilot's over here.
Oh.
Oh,
That's Oreo the cat there.
Okay,
Aw.
I understand why.
Sorry,
I'm-
Oreo. She's
Gonna be very
sleeping.
disappointed.
Go back to sleep.
I got Peps down here at my feet, but I'm not picking her up.
No, don't pick up pets. You wouldn't like it, I don't think.
Um,
It's
yeah.
Continuously farting the whole time I'm sitting here.
Jeff, you are right. The more you look at this Christmas and other horrors cover, the more you
Yeah.
find,
I didn't think much of it when I first saw it, and then I started looking into it, and it's really,
Yeah.
it's really intriguing the way they set it up.
It
Yeah.
really it reminds me a little bit of the opening montage of the mural in Clive Barker's Nightbreed, where
Oh.
yeah, like there's little things that you think are just throwaways, but then when you look closer, they're important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about Christmas and other horrors, guys?
I hope you all like it. You should read the other stories, everybody.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm
Yep.
working on it.
So, anybody have a favorite Christmas horror movie that you got to watch every December besides Rare Exports?
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas?
Which
The
one?
original.
Because I found out there are seriously there are three
Yeah.
of them.
Free
Three
Black
of them?
Christmas,
Yeah, the
ori-
original one.
The original? Didn't you just
Ah.
rewatch that one? Mike?
What, Black Christmas?
Yeah. Or do you watch it
No,
every
not
year?
yet.
Oh,
I try to watch it every year. I bought it years ago.
So
Yeah.
Richard, would they be Black what's the plural of Christmas?
Christmases.
Christmases.
May all your Christmases be white, yes?
Yes.
yeah.
There's a
My
great
My favorite Christmas song is Christmas Rapping by the Waitresses. It's the only good one. And also
My
Grandma got run over by the reindeer.
My
I mean,
teenagers love that song.
with Christmas Rapping.
Yeah.
I know, it's lovely. I love it. I listen to it every Christmas.
Robert Earl Keen's Merry Christmas from the Family. You can add it to that list. It'll fit right in.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer. In the 80s, there was a DJ that got fired because he just played the song over and over and over.
How about that song? Me and my kids used to crack at that song where the kid's got the shoes, buys the shoes for his old lady who's dying. It was the corniest song in existence. Do you remember that one? It was a country tune.
Mm. Oh, you know what I do like? I love Tori Amos's Drummer Boy. She's
Oh, that's
an
nice.
amazing
Yeah, that
drummer
is a
boy.
good song.
It's gorgeous. It's the only drummer boy I like. Well, pretty much. It's,
The song I like is Marshmallow World, the version sung by Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra
Oh.
on their
I
Christmas
just saw
special,
that.
where
You must
they're
have just-
both where they're both drunk.
Well, I
And
don't know
it's-
if Dean Martin is always said to be drunk, but he's always saying he didn't drink.
I think these
But-
guys are loaded.
Well, definitely,
I'm gonna
Frank. Did
play
you?
that as soon as I
You're the
get
one who
done
posted.
here.
I watched it on Twitter. Did you post it on Twitter?
I posted it on Twitter.
And
Absolutely.
that's how I watched it. Yeah, I mean, Frank was definitely smashed.
Yes.
He's dancing around. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I never even heard of that song before.
I just stumbled on it a few years ago, and I listen to it every year.
Mm.
I'll tell you something that's fun to do. Since we're on the topic of Christmas in this book, I like old time radio, and I'm gonna post in the show notes. I'll post this, but I like to listen to Christmas this time of year. I like to listen to Christmas shows, broadcasts that happened during World War II. So I was just listening to one last week where Bob Hope emceed it, and they went all the way around the world. It's 1943, I believe. So it's really good. It's like an hour and a half long, but
Okay.
they aired it live on Christmas Eve, 1943. So, and Bob Hope's just cracking up, just one joke after another. And one of them was, it's so cold in the Midwest right now that even the Republicans are looking forward to the fireside chats.
Yeah.
So if you're not old, you probably won't get that, but I am, so I do. All right, so this is great. Guys, are we going to talk about anything else, or are we done? To my panelists here.
I don't know.
We can stay around. I mean,
I'm-
a new Doctor Who dropped today.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
What
All right,
dropped
so
The third Doctor Who seasonal special.
I
Okay.
did want to mention something about movie night as well.
okay, great. Well, Ellen, Jeff, Richard, Glenn, Nadia, guys, thank you so much for being here and talking about
Thank
the
you.
book.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're welcome to stay if you want, but I'm assuming,
No, I have to go.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
Mike,
Ellen?
I'm gonna send you that thing about the books you were asking me about.
Okay,
About a
thank you.
write-up? Yeah, I'll
Yes.
be sending that to you this week.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that.
All right.
And Ellen,
Richard, you're gonna.
I hope everything works out okay, Ellen.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, all right.
Yeah. And let me
Okay.
know, Ellen.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Lou.
Will.
All
I
right.
will.
Bye,
Okay, all right.
folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your weekend. All right. So that was fun. The stories I've read in this book so far, they are really good. So, of course, every Ellen Datlow anthology is really good. So, all right, you want to talk about Doctor Who first, Pete?
I mean, I do.
right.
First of all, I think this is the first episode.
Spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers? Oh, okay.
No,
This is the-
well, something really important happened there.
Yes, hugely
Well,
important.
wait a
Which would
second.
change the whole direction of the show,
Yeah,
possibly.
or
Uh,
shows.
All right,
Yes.
look. Let's talk about it with spoilers, but let's give anyone else the chance who's watching, listening, to bow out at this time if that's what you want to do. We're also going to talk about what else, Matt, before we go?
Just a little bit about movie night.
Okay. All right. So you've been warned. We're going to talk about the 14th Doctor, all episodes with spoilers, especially the latest episode. All right. 3, 2, 1. Go. Pete. Rick. Whoever.
So hugely important. Treads into cosmic horror.
Mm-hmm.
Really, look. So BBC and Disney cut a deal. BBC is getting lots of money, and with that, they're getting some actors and big named actors.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris is the toy maker, which is a Hartnell nemesis from what
Played by-
19
Played by
Go ahead.
Michael Goff.
Yeah. Played by Alfred.
yeah. Really, I think a fun episode.
It is.
And then at the end, the Doctor regenerates. And this is actually it's telegraphed really, really well. It's there's a logic behind why he has to regenerate at the end of this episode.
You talking
and
about when she's telling him that he needs to slow down and enjoy life for a while?
yeah, there's that, but there's also is like what the toy maker says is like, I played the first game with one doctor, I played the second game with you, I should play the third game with another doctor. And then he's forced to regenerate.
Right. Well, I thought, oh, I've really been enjoying David Tennant, and I guess he's gone for the rest of the episode, and then he's not. I loved it.
We had
Yes.
binary or bi-generation.
Bi-generation, which again goes to stuff that was talked about in other episodes.
Like,
well, the idea that not everything is binary, that things can be one way, another way, or a third way. Earlier in the episode, he talks about there's law, and there's humans see the world as law and order, and versus chaos. And the doctor says there's so much stuff, other stuff involved. So there's that. There's the idea with Rose Noble that there can be male doctors, there can be female doctors, and then there's other things that think there's people that think other ways that are different, and that's important.
Well, there was an audio that's canon a couple years back where the cat lady from Grid, from Gridlock or whatever that episode was called, she said something to the effect of something like all the men and women and creatures that the doctor has been.
Right.
So he's not just he hasn't in the past just regenerated as a human looking entity.
This would have had to have occurred in that timeless child gap.
Right.
So I guess what we're dancing around here is that when regeneration occurs, the doctor splits into two characters. One played by David Tennant, and the other one played by, I can't say his name, including I've got to figure this out.
He's great though. And I really liked that it didn't, both with David Tennant and with the new guy, I can't say his name either, they immediately remembered who they were and so forth, unlike some previous, like the last couple, like Peter Capaldi. It took him a whole episode. Well, of course, I guess Matt Smith, he remembered too. So I guess that's not the exception.
Peter Davidson, if you go back to the
I was thinking Peter Davidson had some time. Yeah.
So now that I think about it, I guess it's not that unique. But man, it was great seeing them both together playing off each other.
Right.
And this is a way, see, now that they have young doctors, we have these specials where all the doctors get together. They have a problem that the guys are old.
Right.
I mean,
some of them don't look like they used to.
John Pertwee looked about the same age from when he was probably in his 40s to his 80s or wherever long he lived.
Yeah.
Patrick
Colin Baker
aged
is not. Yeah, he's not recognizable.
Something else I enjoyed, guys, is that when David Tennant's doctor decided he's going to settle down, at least for a while, he's doing it because he absolutely chooses to, not because he doesn't have a TARDIS anymore. I really liked that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In other words, he could have decided to settle down, and then you're going to have in the back of your mind as a viewer, is he going to regret this? But you don't have that now because he can leave whenever he wants. He's choosing not to. He's saying, this is the happiest I've ever been. You see what I mean?
Well, and I think that there might be, there's an interesting thing happening there, because they are, they talk about how he and Mel went back to the World's Fair, I think.
Hmm.
And then he took Rose to Mars. So he's still going places,
Right.
but maybe he's choosing to go places where he doesn't have to get involved.
He's just showing his new family around the
Yes.
universe.
Yeah.
Well, he tends, no matter what, in the show, no matter where he goes, he tends to get involved in something.
Yeah.
Right. But maybe that's a new rule that, he doesn't have, he's going places where he doesn't have to get involved, where he
Yeah.
can actually be on vacation.
And they
Well, he
left
had
the
that
door
long
open.
vacation with River Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capaldi was a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did a night last there? 22 years or something.
Something like that.
So let's talk about the cosmic aspect. Here I was thinking that the toy maker, man, what a cosmic entity, you know?
Yeah. Kind of
And-
reminds me of the Elders of the Universe from DC or from Marvel.
Yeah.
Where they've taken on an aspect and that doing whatever that is.
Well, I'll tell you,
Well,
I thought of you last night when I was watching this, Rick, because you know who it seems to me that the toy maker is absolutely this person, Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Yes, he is sort of like him.
Yeah.
But this one thing, there was some major parts of dialogue which we can't forget. He said there's some reference to he who waits.
Right.
Yes.
I was going to
There's
bring
some
that up
horrible
next.
force at the end of the galaxy.
Right.
It sounds very Lovecraftian.
It
and
does.
then the meat mentioned the boss.
Yeah.
I think they're talking about the one who waits when they.
Yeah. That's
Well, you know what else it reminded me of? Well, first of all, if a cosmic entity like the toy maker has to hide from the one who waits, man, you know, that's saying something. But
Right.
it reminded me, and I posted this on social media. You might have seen it, guys. The toy maker says he hid from the one who waits, which immediately made me think of the Ray Bradbury story, and it's actually titled "The One Who Waits." I live in a well. I live like smoke in a well. Remember that? Like vapor in a stone throat. Overhead, I see the cold stars of morning, night and morning, and I see the sun. And sometimes I sing old songs of this world when it was young. How can I tell you what I am when even I don't know? I cannot. I am simply waiting. You guys remember that story, or did you? It's in
Yeah. It's been a
Martian
while.
Chronicles,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because as you read that now, it kind of reminds me of Sadako from The Ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
But but going back to Doctor Who, there was this little thing that kind of happened where the toy maker says he killed the master. He defeated him.
Oh, right.
Stole and stored his essence in his gold tooth.
right.
And then at the end on the platform, the gold tooth is there. And a hand with red fingernails reaches out and grabs it.
Like a woman's hand.
A woman's hand. Which is not the first time we've seen that.
Yeah. Happened at the last David Tennant episode.
Yes.
But that's one other thing.
Yeah.
When the toy maker was going over all the people he beat, he said he defeated the Guardians of Time and Space and did something horrible to them. I don't remember
Right.
what it was.
The black
It's
and
the
white.
black
Guardian.
and white Guardian from
Yeah.
Tom Baker era. The embodiment of order and evil.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I want to cut Mike back in. But last thing I'll say is that I really liked the David Tennant. He wasn't trying to just win. He was trying to win him over. When he said, to become friends with him, he goes, instead of how can I beat this guy? He's okay. Let's be friends. Come with me, travel with me. That was really refreshing. And I know the Doctor's done it before, once or twice in different incarnations, although I can't think of the specific examples right now, but it's always
Specifically with the master
right.
Missy.
Right.
and
Yeah,
Missy.
but it's always so refreshing, to hear.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to have the doctor, to give the villain the opportunity to change
right.
and say, look, you're powerful. I agree with you. Great, wonderful. Let's go do some good stuff.
Because
Let's
a lot
go.
of, yeah, a lot of time when someone's on that path, they think, okay, I've made this choice forever. But to be given a chance
Right.
to leave that path. So,
And that's when you lose the doctor. When he's giving you an opportunity to change, to do what's good,
yeah,
and
that's
then
when
you
you
say
lose them.
no. And then you say no, then you're screwed.
Yeah, then he's lost patience with you.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
So,
I just thought of something.
yeah,
With that hand that picked up the gold tooth was Missy.
that's what I was
We're
thinking.
having,
Sure.
we're having an example of the master being two incarnations meeting. Like we had
Okay.
in the last-
DeBronzo, you listening?
Yep.
All right. You want to talk about movie night, Matt?
Yes. We are Alan Hughes has come up with some new platforms to try. I'm going to be exploring
So
them.
you do read our emails.
But I'm going to be traveling for a few weeks over the holidays, so we're not going to have anything. It'll be sporadic or catch as catch can. You'll just have to watch the Facebook posts. But the other thing I wanted to say was during this break, I'm kind of like doing a survey. I listed the movies that we've already seen, and I'm asking people to say what movies they might want to watch in our usual wheelhouse that they want to see in 2024. So I'm looking
that's a
for
great idea.
solicitations for title ideas.
Yeah.
Alligator people.
I'm keeping that for myself. Some things can't be shared.
Kaltiki.
Big ass
That's
spider.
actually on my list.
There you go.
There's a couple of blob movies like that might be worth seeing. The trick is getting them on a platform that can stream.
We've still got about 3 weeks left that I've paid for, Matt, but I stopped paying for Hyperbeam. So if I need to begin again, let me know. I'm fine doing it. I just don't want to pay for it if it's not being used. So this is why I need patrons, folks, because I pay for a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. There's time. And if you decide you need it and it's like Saturday at noon, I can get back on it within 5 minutes, so it's not a big deal.
No worries, Mike.
So, and well, thank you for hosting movie night. I just I'd like at some point to give movie night the opportunity to grow beyond 12 people. So, Alan, if you're listening, and you usually do, thank you for all the research that you've done for movie night, and for that matter, for the games page on the website and the movie page, doing a lot of I don't want to minimalize it and say it's data entry, but a lot of it is, I'm sure, kind of boring. Thank you for doing it, bud.
Oh yeah, one other thing, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going through my library right now, seeing if I have enough titles to do another book a day for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And last time we had talked a little bit about, do you want my previous lists, like you could make them into some kind of super list or something? I wouldn't be able to do it. Or something. Pete was talking about having like a checklist for collectors or something like that.
That's a good idea.
Do you remember, Pete, based on those Amazon lists?
Yeah.
But I just don't know what to do with it. I mean, I got these 3 huge Facebook albums.
Well, what you can do is for each album, there's a link to that specific album.
Right.
You can just send me those and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Like it'll be like 4 links, how many years you've got. It'll be that. So
I'm thinking about doing it for a 4th and final time.
Okay. Well, when you get time, when you're done traveling, whatever, send me the link to the 3 previous albums.
All right, I'll whip you an email.
Okay, that's good. All right. Anything else, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
So Rick brought to my attention that a story that I had pretty much written and forgotten about 15 years ago was published in Eldritch Tales,
All right.
and he had questions about it. So I went back and reread the story, and yes, Rick, you are the inspiration for one character, and the other character, Amanda, who buys a statue and takes it to Mount Sesqua Valley. Amanda is a reference to Jessica Amanda Salmonson, who was very close to Willem back in the day. Ran a bookstore in the Pacific Northwest.
I know who she is.
Yeah. So, yes.
Oh, I posted this on social media and everyone really seemed to like it. So here we go. If you're listening on Apple, you won't see this, but
Did you turn on a light or something? Your face just suddenly started glowing.
I'm angelic. So anyway,
Nice.
this is my Poe. It actually says on the box, Poe action figure.
As opposed to the inaction figure.
Right, which got me thinking, what exactly is his action? And for those who can't see it, this is an action figure, quote unquote.
If you push the button, he puts a tourniquet around his arm and he shoots up.
Yeah, it could be. He's got a raven on his shoulder. But the only action I can think of is he's got a little pad and paper. He doesn't. I could get him a little pad of paper and a pen where he could write. But yeah.
Does his arms move?
His arms only, they don't bend at the elbow.
But they are points of articulation, hence action.
Yeah.
See, this is my Alien Queen action figure.
Hang on, let me put you on the screen.
Nice.
And if you the back of her head is a squeeze bulb, and if you squeeze it, the inner mouth comes out. So, and then the arms move. But yes, that's an action figure.
Yeah.
It's cheesy, but it's an action figure.
Cheesy.
Not this whatever, inaction figure Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm in the mood for a really good horror movie to watch. Should I watch Krampus? Do you have a second
Rare
suggestion?
exports, man.
Rare exports, whatever. Yeah.
Have you seen, if you don't want a Christmas movie, try The Harbinger. I think it's a great flick.
Harbinger? I think I might
The
have seen it.
Harbinger. Have you?
I think you did.
Aren't there two movies called The Harbinger?
This is one about a woman who has something in her dreams that she's not understanding. So she calls a friend during the pandemic. They come over and something really terrible.
Oh, right. I thought you guys said it wasn't very good.
No, I've loved it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I thought it was really good.
Stranger Things 5 filming will get underway in January 2024.
All these kids are too old now.
I don't know. It kind of burns on Stranger Things.
Kind of outlived.
Never even finished season 2.
What, Rick?
It's kind of outlived.
Yeah.
The attraction.
Yeah, I think so too. So
It'd be nice if they did something like, all right, Stranger Things 3, 4, 5, and then they stopped for like 10 years. And then they did Stranger Things 12. Set in the late 90s.
yeah.
And we're with them as adults, and they, kind of like It, but in real time.
I really enjoyed the first, the recent incarnation of the It movies. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, I couldn't even finish with the adults. Did you guys feel the same or no?
I thought the first one was great. I mean, the first
it was.
version is classic King, with, the King does really the horror of being a kid and being a vulnerable kid really, really well. I think it's what he's really, really good at. And maybe when the first version was released, the made for TV version, the mixture of the two stories worked really, really well.
Yes.
And then this one, where they divided it up more, doesn't.
Yeah,
And-
I think it was a poor choice. Although the first movie was good, so maybe I don't know. If the plot to the if the second one was better, we might be saying just the opposite. Pete,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. You know what I really can't wait for is True Detective Night Country.
Yeah,
That's looking pretty good.
that's going to be on Max, right? HBO Max.
January 15th, I think. Middle of January sometime.
Man, I
Hey,
just
so you know how Laird
can't
Barron's
wait.
detective novels are really just kind of hard bitten with maybe a suggestion. Maybe there's until he got to As the Wind Began to Howl, suddenly it's full throttle. There's a supernatural thing going on.
Right.
I was just wondering if they were going to finally do that in True Detective set in Antarctica, or if it's just going to be like a murder mystery.
Well, I saw one screenshot where, I mean, I hope it isn't zombies, but it looks like Jodie Foster is, startled or, scared by some sort of zombie looking human. So I think they are gonna.
It could be.
That could have just been Keith Richards.
Still ticking. It could be, yeah, out of context, though, it could be a dream sequence, it could be a hallucination.
True.
They do show the symbol repeatedly, that red spiral symbol.
Mm.
So it looks like there's something occult involved with it.
But in the last iteration of True Detective, they faked this out. They had a decent mystery, but you thought it was all going to connect to the first episode. And it turned out just that they coexist in the same universe and there's no real connection.
I don't know. The one guy's out. What's it, Pizzatola? Is that his name?
Is it? I'm not familiar with him.
Zolata.
Yeah,
or
he's
something.
out. That's why I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Plus
still
Jodie
executive
Foster.
produced. Yeah, it's executive produced by what's his name, Woody and McConaughey and Jodie Foster, and that one dude's out. So who knows what we'll get? Could be.
Well, she tends to pick winners overall, doesn't she? Jodie
Jodie
Foster.
I mean, Jodie Foster's always good, even if what she's in is not that great.
I don't know. I
So-
think her career really tanked with Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, I was right in the shitter. It did not put the lotion in the basket, and look what happened.
You put the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again.
Pete's gonna start calling us precious now. Don't you think so, precious?
All right. Pete's yawning. I think we're done here.
Yeah,
He's been out of bed.
I got to, after we get off the air, I got to tell you guys about this nightmare I had.
All right. You hear that, folks? He doesn't want you to know.
Well, because I
We
might
get the juicy stuff.
Because what?
write it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Guys, thanks for being here, and to everyone listening and watching, thank you for doing so. Special thanks to the Patreons. Maybe people get tired of me saying it, but really, if it wasn't for you guys, that'd be it. I'd have to go get a job driving for Uber or something. So I really appreciate you guys.
You can
And
drive.
yeah. I drive like an old man, but I drive. So really appreciate you guys. We've got another Patreon podcast coming in a few days. My guest is going to be Scott Nickley. It's going to be Wednesday at 6 Eastern is when we're going to record it, guys. And then I'll have it on for the patrons probably Thursday or the very latest Friday. But we're going to talk about Jean Ray and the books that Scott has translated. He did a fantastic job. And I don't know if you guys have read John Ray or not, but let's put it this way: if you like Robert Aikman, you'll like John Ray. So, prize, Matt.
Oh yeah, we have a hardcover biography by S.T. Joshi of Lovecraft called Nightmare Countries. It's from 2012. This is not a perfect copy. It's got a couple dings on it. But if you want to win it, send an email to easyandprizes@gmail.com and put countries in the subject heading. It's just really nice. There's lots of photographs, and if you've not got a biography of Lovecraft, this could serve quite well.
Yeah. Just Google Lovecraft Easing Patreon. At the very lowest, $5 a month, you get the Patreon podcasts. Then upper level Patreons get free books, including digital copies that aren't even available yet or have just come out. So that's just a couple. There's a lot of good things, and the link is in the show notes. So thanks everybody, and we will see you next week. Thanks.